Welcome to Holding Space with Dr. Christopher Barker. That's me. I'm a New Jersey licensed psychologist, and we're going to be looking at various psychological topics that might be of interest and have deep meaning for various people. This one today is going to have a lot of meaning for me as well as for a lot of other people who are watching, and I would issue a trigger warning in advance because, of course, we're going to talk about trauma again, but this time in the context of the Minnesota school shooting that took place recently. And I have some feelings personally about this because I did part of my dissertation work with the school age population in Minneapolis. Not this particular school, but I do have some idea of what the area is like, the people, the mentality of this particular population. And I think even though that gives me some awareness of what it must have been like there, I think the things that we're going to be talking about apply to everybody, everywhere. And again, if this is the topic that causes particular trauma for you, I don't want to make it any worse, but I think we can take a look at this from an objective point of view. We're going to be talking about the ricochet effect of trauma. Now, what's a ricochet effect? Essentially, if you have a trauma, and it can be an acute trauma or it can be a chronic trauma. Acute traumas are one-off events that are sudden and extreme and horrifying. Or acute traumas, yeah, can also be passive things. They can be neglect or avoidance. They can be abandonment. But also chronic trauma is something that can be reenacted over and over again. Neglect again falls into this area, or episodic abuse. We have become so, I guess, used to school shootings and shooter drills. So many of the kids that I see, and even people into their 20s now who have grown up with a system in their schools of practicing shooter drills. Everybody get under your desk, lock the door, bulletproof backpacks. I mean, it's kind of amazing, really, the level that kids have become so used to, and they're so adaptable that they are in many ways on top of this, but also experiencing this because it is a modern day horror story. It's something that a lot of people are dealing with aside from this particular incident. But why do we call it ricochet effect? Okay, ricochet is the indirect, often unintended consequences of trauma on other people. It bounces off this particular situation and it goes into unexplored, unexpected areas. Trauma rarely stays contained. Its effect ripple outwards. It shapes behaviors of other people. It shapes relationships. It shapes systems. You can have an emotional contagion effect that happens as a result of this. We're hearing about it constantly on the news. They're interrupting every kind of broadcast you can imagine to give you an update on something that we really don't know a whole lot more about, but it's a chance to hear it over and over again. And the emotional effect of this is to be draining. It is to be shocking. It is to be also sucking the energy out of you. Going through this over and over again, reliving it constantly, doesn't make it any easier. It makes it harder. And what are some of the effects that can come as a result of the ricochet? Hypervigilance, being hyper aware of, oh, this person looks like they might be trouble, or I'm aware of their trouble around me. I'm aware of other people in my life who are creating situations that I find uncomfortable. Emotional withdrawal is another effect. You can become so wounded by watching all of this that you just pull back and you feel less. It's protective in a way, but it's also you're less intact, you're less present. It can cause attachment disruptions. These are bonding, leading to insecure or avoidant attachment styles. You can pull back from other people. That can create suspicion on their parts. That can create demands on their parts. You can find yourself too aware, too clingy, it can have a variety of effects. So it's not just this incident that happened to these people, it's the effect that these people take outside of their situation and they bring it into the world. And also, those of us who are forced to watch and are watching and concerned about this are also living this with them. So we start out with one layer of trauma, which is what happens to the people directly in the situation. And then there are the people who are outside of the situation. That would be the people in Minneapolis. That would be the people in Minnesota. That would be the people in the United States. Then that would be the people in the world. It has those ripples that are spreading throughout. And if you imagine that hypervigilance and that withdrawal and that shock, and that spreads throughout all those layers, the complex interaction of all those different factors with each other, people withdrawing from their loved ones, withdrawing from neighbors, withdrawing from friends, withdrawing from other school situations, withdrawing from school. These are all things that have happened and will continue to happen for as long as we're continuing to hear about similar incidents. And these incidents are continuing. Projection and reenactment is something else that can happen. Unresolved trauma may be projected onto other people. You may feel this sense of isolation or hypervigilance related to other people. You may feel this sense of shock related to other people. You may become more sensitive to other people's transgressions, things that normally we would be able to put up with. People snapping at their bosses, people just deciding to lay out of work, people passively avoiding other people. It can be reenacted in relationships among intimate partners. It can become reenacted in relationships with caregivers. It can become reenacted in so many different ways. And it can be intergenerational also, because we've been looking at shooter drills going on in schools for possibly 20 years now. And the I can't tell you how many of the people that I see who are under the age of 20 who have experienced the trauma of having these drills. And not only do you have to, like once a month, you will be like either told to go to the auditorium and hide under seats or hide under your desks, barricade doors, things like that. Parents are buying bulletproof backpacks for kids. It's very widespread. You can create emotional immaturity. It can create enmeshment as people cling more to their caregivers, or if they don't feel that they can cling to their caregivers, they can feel detached. And stories of trauma shape identity and worldview across generations. So this has been going on for quite some time now, and it will continue to go on until someone can find a solution. But it's not for me to say what that solution is, although I have some ideas. We just don't want this to go on any longer. But epigenetically, trauma can also alter gene expression. We've talked about the effect of cortisol and other neurotransmitters on the body and the brain, and it can affect your offspring's stress responses. It can go through generations. And not only does it create a neurological effect, but also behaviorally. If you were talking about people who are becoming isolated or withdrawn or hypervigilant or in general just hyperfixated on a topic, that can be transmitted behaviorally also. So not only does it have an effect on your brain, it also has an effect on your body, and it has an effect on your relationships with other people. The collective trauma events like war, systemic oppression, they impact entire communities. And something like this will impact an entire community. The people of the town are going to feel it. And Minneapolis is a good sized city, but this is going to affect every school age child, every adult, every teacher in that area, and it will spread outwards. It's going to affect people in all walks of life. What can we do? Well, first of all, becoming aware of it is important. Being aware of the effect that it's having on you. Talking about it. Don't push it under the rug. Don't feel like there's like some kind of magical solution that's just going to happen. Being able to have your reactions and being able to find someone you can talk to about it is important. Keeping your boundaries and integrity, supporting other people without becoming collateral damage from this. We have to be able to hold space for other people's feelings. We have to be able to hold space for our own feelings. We cannot become so damaged by hearing this that we cannot be there for other people. Resilience practices, therapy, of course. Well, I would say that because I am a therapist, but it also really can be helpful to find someone to talk to about your feelings about this. Community support. The more communities are able to address these issues and come together and present working programs or hope for a future, the better for every individual in that community. Also transforming the trauma by reframing it into narratives of growth and healing. Yes, this happened. We must find a way to deal with this. We must find a way to be there for these people. I know one of the things that I've been struck by is the children who are being interviewed as a result of this. Once upon a time, we couldn't show children's faces on television, but now they are the voices of this particular trauma. And that speaks to other children because we look to people who are like us to interpret our reality. So hearing from other children how they are coping with it is going to be both helpful and also shocking because these are, if you're a child, these are your people. These are the people that you can relate to. They are ones who have gone through something with you. And you can feel like you have also been through this. We are given depictions of things that are so graphic and so realistic that we can place ourselves in that situation and imagine ourselves being there. We are talking about this effect on us. We're talking about how it affects other people, how it interacts with our mindset about the future, about our own sense of safety, our own sense of support. But if we can take those senses of safety and support, and if we can seek those, we can begin to have some healing for ourselves. And also then we can take action to try and do things to protect ourselves. These sorts of protections are going to have to come from a much larger level of a child, much higher level than most individual parents. It's going to have to transmit itself upward as a collective consciousness of a group of people, children, teachers, parents, communities can band together to form active alliances. They can advocate for themselves. They can try to find solutions. They can, by even advocating, it's tremendously healing. So it's not just going to therapy and talking about it. It's also going to therapy and talking about how my life is going to change as a result of my changed perspective because of this event. That is a ricochet effect. It is the event itself, and it is also the change that it creates in other systems, in other people. It's serious. Trauma is not just personal. It's relational, it's systemic, it's generational. But by understanding the ricochet effect, we can move from reaction to reflection and from fragmentation to integration. We can begin to become whole again by understanding that it's not just me that's experiencing this. I understand why I'm having a reaction to something that happened to these people. It's threatening my sense of security. It's threatening my sense of safety. It's threatening my neighbor's sense of security and safety. All of us are interacting with other humans who are going through tragedies. It doesn't have to be a war, but it can be something that is so personal that it spurs us to change. Thank you for holding space while we talk about this difficult topic. And again, like and subscribe if you wish. If you're enjoying this content, feel free to leave comments. Feel free to send me questions. Let's keep talking.